Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into one of the Middle East's most tangled and, let's be honest, dangerous rivalries. That's the long-running tension between Israel and Iran.
Exactly. And it's not, a straightforward declared war. It's much more complex. Proxy fights, cyber warfare, assassinations, airstrikes, constant diplomatic friction. It's a lot.
It really is. So our mission here is to unpack the core reasons behind this bitterness using the source materials you gave us. We want to help you quickly get a handle on the most crucial insights. And actually, one thing that jumped out from the sources was how much things changed after 1979. It wasn't always like this. Okay, so let's dive into the core of it. Something often missed is that before 1979, Iran and Israel, well, they actually had diplomatic relations. Kind of surprising now.
It is surprising. And the sources really point to the 1979 Iranian Revolution as the absolute turning point and a pivotal moment. Afterwards, Iran becomes the Islamic Republic under Ayatollah Khomeini and adopts this really strong anti-Israel stance. The new regime explicitly called for the liberation of Palestine, the destruction of Israel.
Wow.
Yeah, and this wasn't just talk. The sources show it completely reshaped the power dynamics. Iran used its new religious identity to challenge the whole regional order, basically. And Israel became, for them, a key symbol of Western influence that needed to be, well, dismantled.
That ideological shift is just huge. When you were looking through the materials, what really struck you as the main consequence of Iran viewing Israel that way?
It just cemented this fundamental opposition. It became baked into the ideology. From Iran's side, Israel is seen as, illegitimate state occupying Muslim land. And for Israel, Iran becomes this major existential threat because of its words, yes, but also its clear regional ambitions.
Right, not just a political disagreement anymore.
No, not at all. A deep, active opposition.
So with that ideological groundwork laid, maybe the most critical part of this rivalry today, and the sources really hammer this home, is Iran's nuclear program.
Absolutely. The sources are clear. Israel's fear isn't just, oh no, Iran might get a bomb. It's that a nuclear Iran would feel emboldened, it would strengthen its proxies, and fundamentally change the strategic balance in a really volatile region.
Makes sense.
So it forces Israel into this constant state of alert, this preemptive thinking, because they genuinely see it as threatening their survival.
That existential threat point is key. And what's really striking in the sources is how this fear leads to, well, specific actions, often covert ones. What did the materials say about Israel's alleged responses?
Well, the alleged responses have been pretty intense. You've got sophisticated cyber attacks. Stuxnet is the famous one, targeting their nuclear sites. Then there are the alleged assassinations of Iranian nuclear scientists, and, of course, the constant diplomatic push against Iran's nuclear deal, the JCPOA.
Right, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action?
Exactly. The Israeli stance has basically been, we cannot let Iran get the bomb. Full stop. So yeah, the nuclear issue is just a constant, critical flashpoint.
But it's not just about potential bombs or high-tech cyber stuff. This fight, it spills out into the shadows, right? Through these proxy groups all over the region, it makes it so hard to track. So how does this fear of an emboldened Iran play out beyond direct confrontation?
Yeah, looking at the bigger picture, Iran strategically pumps money and weapons into groups like Hezbollah.
The Shia group in Lebanon.
Right, a really powerful militant group. They've fought several wars with Israel directly. So Hezbollah is a major proxy force for Iran, letting them exert pressure without, direct Iranian military involvement.
And the sources also point to Iran backing Bashar al-Assad in Syria, trying to set up military bases right near Israel's border, which naturally Israel sees as a huge immediate threat.
Indeed. And that's why Israel frequently hits Iranian targets inside Syria to stop those weapons getting to Hezbollah and disrupt Iran's attempts to build a permanent military foothold there. And then beyond Syria and Lebanon, Iran supports other groups too, like the Houthis.
The rebels in Yemen?
Yeah, the Shia rebels there. Plus various militias in Iraq and Palestinian groups like Hamas.
Who control Gaza.
Right, and Islamic Jihad, all groups Israel considers enemies. So the proxy battlefield just keeps expanding.
So we have the ideological battle, the nuclear fears, the proxy wars, and then there's the digital front. This deep dive shows the conflict isn't just physical, it's heavily fought online too.
That's absolutely right. Both sides have launched major cyber attacks. You had Israel allegedly hacking Iranian nuclear systems, which is incredibly sensitive. And then Iran targeting Israeli infrastructure, things like water systems, airports, critical stuff.
Wow.
It really shows you how conflict is changing. A keyboard can be, well, almost as dangerous as a missile these days.
And just when you think you've got all the pieces mapped out, ideology, nuclear, proxies, cyber over, the alliances in the region start shifting, changing the whole game.
It's fascinating, actually. You see Israel forging these new relationships with Arab countries, the UAE, Bahrain.
Through the Abraham Accords.
Exactly. And even more quietly with Saudi Arabia. This really redraws the regional map, creating something of a united front, or at least a more aligned front, against what they see as Iranian expansionism.
So what does that mean for Iran? Does it make them back down?
Well, that's the interesting thing. Some analyses in our sources suggest that while these alliances strengthen Israel, they might actually, paradoxically, make Iran feel more cornered.
Ah, so it could backfire in a way?
Potentially. Iran feels increasingly isolated, threatened by these new alignments. They accuse Israel of trying to dominate the region with Western support. It intensifies that feeling of encirclement we talked about.
And then things escalated dramatically. We saw something completely new, direct attacks between Iran and Israel themselves. That just shattered old assumptions.
Precisely. April 2024. That was a watershed moment.
Yeah.
Iran directly attacked Israel, first time ever, with drones and missiles.
A huge barrage.
Massive. And the sources emphasize this wasn't just symbolic. It was retaliation for an alleged Israeli strike on an Iranian consulate in Syria, a diplomatic compound.
Which is usually off limits.
Exactly. So that action completely changed the game, raised all these urgent questions about red lines, like, do they even exist anymore between these two?
And Israel hit back.
Israel responded, yeah, with its own airstrikes deep inside Iran. That was historic, too. A truly dangerous shift from this shadow proxy war to direct state-on-state confrontation out in the open.
So this deep dive, it really shows us, doesn't it, that Israel-Iran conflict is just so deeply rooted ideology, fear, this constant struggle for regional dominance. It's this incredibly complex web, nuclear anxieties, proxy warfare everywhere, shifting alliances. And as the sources make clear, peace just seems impossible as long as both sides see the other as fundamentally a threat to their very existence.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, especially after those direct attacks in 2024, it leaves you wondering, right? What new red lines might be drawn now, or maybe erased entirely? And how are those changes going to ripple out, not just across the Middle East, but globally? It affects everyone.
A crucial question. We really hope this deep dive has helped you understand the many, many layers of this critical geopolitical rivalry.